Assalamualaikum and greetings everyone. Today, I, Ifardina binti Kamardin Ilyas, a student from University Kebangsaan Malaysia, stand before you to explain the reason why single-use plastics should be outlawed completely. The reason I chose this topic is because plastic pollution is something that I myself have witnessed since childhood. Growing up seeing plastic waste scattered everywhere made me question whether this cycle will ever end. That is why I truly believe that it is crucial for all of us to truly understand this issue. Plastic pollution is a serious threat because it harms wildlife and the environment, poses significant risk to human health, and also overwhelms our waste management systems. Since the 1950s, global plastic production has increased by about 9% every year, rising from only 1.7 million metric tons in 1950 to more than 343 million metric tons in 2018. According to a report by the United Nations Environment Programme UNEP in 2023, this amount is expected to triple by the year 2060. Some of you may think that single-use plastics are simply part of modern life. We use them when buying food, shopping, or drinking water. But these plastics do not end their journey when we throw them away. They eventually return to us as polluted rivers, contaminated seafood, and higher waste management costs that our communities must bear. The United Nations Environment Programme in July 2025 also states that an equivalent of 2,000 garbage trucks full of plastics are dumped into the world's oceans, rivers, and lakes. Over 19 to 23 million tons of plastic waste leak into the environment, causing the marine animals to mistake plastic for food, causing mass deaths, while the rest of the waste accumulates in landfills, rivers, and oceans, silently destroying ecosystem, public health, and even our economy. First, let us look at how single-use plastic will cause environmental pollution and harm the wildlife. Single-use plastics, they pollute the environment because they don't biodegrade. They accumulate in land and water and directly harm wildlife through ingestion, entanglement, and toxic contamination. According to Hewlett 2025 from Greenpeace Aotearoa, every year millions of tons of plastics end up in our oceans, forming massive trash zones such as the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. Because of this, marine animals often mistake plastic bags for jellyfish, swallow bottle caps, or become trapped in six-pack rings. These injuries often lead to starvation, suffocation, and painful deaths. To make matters worse, most plastics take hundreds of years to decompose. A plastic bag may take 10 to 20 years to break down, while a plastic bottle can take up to 450 years. Instead of truly disappearing, these plastics simply turn into microplastics that continue poisoning the ecosystem. This is not just an environmental problem, it is a crisis created by our own convenience. Now that we understand how plastics affect wildlife, let us discuss how much they affect us. Single use plastics become a serious threat to human health because they don't just pollute the environment, they eventually circle back into our bodies and also daily lives. As plastics break down, they become microplastics, which are tiny particles that can enter our bodies through food, water, and even the air that we breathe. A research by Costi 2025 from the BBC suggests that humans may ingest up to 52,000 microplastics particles every year, which explains how the exposure to microplastics is linked to cancer, heart disease, reproductive problems, and hormonal disruptions, according to the Research in News Center 2025. This means that every time we choose to a plastic bag, straw, bottle, or food container, we may unknowingly be choosing a long-term effect for ourselves. While the environmental and health impacts of single-use plastics are deeply concerning, the problem does not stop there. Single-use plastics overload the waste management system because they are produced in massive quantities, discard quickly, and are difficult to recycle. This is because billions of plastic bags, bottles, and packaging items are used daily worldwide. These plastics always end up in landfills or are burnt, releasing toxic fumes into the air. In Malaysia, we are now listed among the top 10 marine plastic polluters, releasing between 0.14 and 0.37 million tons of plastic into the ocean every year. To make it more concerning, the average Malaysian consumes about 502.3 kilograms of microplastics every day. Landfills are piling up, and the cost of managing waste keeps increasing. Although the government had introduced a ban on regular plastic bags in 2017, the problem still remains because single use plastics are still widely available and affordable. After looking at the damage to wildlife, the risk to human health, and the strain on our waste systems, it is clear that single use plastics must be outlawed completely. It may seem impossible to remove plastics from our lives, but change starts with small actions. So, what can we do? Nowadays, many of us buy takeaway drinks almost every day, especially coffees. Each cup usually comes with a plastic lid and a plastic straw, and we rarely think twice about it. One simple change we can make is by bringing our own tumbler from Daiso. Why? Because it is a practical option and the most affordable brand. It has a nice and modern design and is durable enough to be used for a long time. It keeps our drinks hot or cold, and more importantly, it helps reduce the amount of single use plastic we throw every day. So, make sure to get one for yourself by scanning this QR code that will lead you to the official website of Daiso. Small actions like these may seem insignificant, but when practiced consistently and collectively, they can create a meaningful impact on our environment. Single use plastics may offer short term convenience, but they create long term destruction to our environment, our health, and also our future. So, the next time you are offered a plastic bag or straw, ask yourself this: is this convenience worth the damage it will leave behind for generations? So that is all from me today. I really appreciate the time you take to watch this video and listen to what I have to say. Thank you.